All right, so let's fix that zombie spawner problem. You remember that when we were in class, that zombie was spawning, but it was just sort of floating there in the air and was not chasing our player. And that was all down to one simple thing, okay? But while we're here, I'll show you a few other things as well. To begin with, I want to show you the animations that I did for Rose. And let's just go into play for a moment. And oh, maybe what I'll do is I'll just delete the zombie for now so we can look at her animations by themselves. So in this case, she's got a lot of animations that are playing at random. And these were mostly retargeted from, I think, the Cyborg. Okay, this Cyborg Ninja Killers animations. I made a retargeter for that mesh and went into Rose and retargeted animations, and from Cyborg Ninja, here are all the animations that I retargeted into that folder to Rose's skeleton, or her IK rig, I should say. In any case, when we look at this is a lot, but it's a mixture of animation sequences and montages, so it's not as many as it appears to be. So if I go to the filter and we look at just the animation montages, there are 9 of them. I chose 9 attacks that I liked and made montages out of them. So let's reset our filter. So those are the animations that I liked the most. I didn't care for the ones that came from those other packs. Now, if I go back to her blueprint where I implemented all of this stuff, I didn't use an official input. I made a temporary one just out of my left mouse button. And because we're playing montages, we're starting with what we normally start with: disable movement and stop movement immediately with their target pins fed by the character movement component. And in this case, I don't know if you've experienced this before, but if you're playing montages and you spam the input, like spamming, in this case, the left mouse button, if I pressed it really rapidly over and over and over again, each time I did it, the montage would be interrupted and it would start over again. I didn't want that to happen. I wanted the full montage to play so that no matter how many times or how quickly I spam that mouse button, it's not going to interrupt them. Okay, it's only going to be able to play the montage again or the next montage after the current montage has completed. That's why I put the do once here. Now, I've got the play anim montage node following that, and normally we would just specify a montage here, but I wanted to play several random ones. So I pulled off of this pin and chose this node's select. Okay, so pull off the pin, just like you're pulling off any pin and you're searching for a node. I pulled off this pin and I just searched for this select. And when you get that node, you're going to have an option 0 and an option 1. But I needed to have several more because remember there were 9 montages. So we've got, I used this add pin plus button until I had up to 8 because remember it's 0 indexed. So 0 through 8 makes 9. And I just populated each of these slots with those montages, okay, that you remember I showed you from not that, but the folder that we were in before, okay, the montages from this folder. So going back to that, each one has been populated with each one of those montages I made. Now there's going to be a wildcard right here, okay, and we want to pull off of that and search for random integer in range. So I'll show you what it looks like before. Okay, so the index, it might even say index wildcard here. So you'll pull off and you'll type random integer in range like this. Choose that one. And because there's 9 options starting from 0, the minimum is going to be 0 and the maximum is going to be 8. Sorry, I had to pause the recording because somebody knocked on my door. Anyway, so we've got the random integer in range, and I just set the maximum value to 8. So when it plays the montage, it's going to choose from among these. This is slightly like an array. It's very similar to an array. We could have done it with an array, as a matter of fact, but the select node is just easier. And it's going to scramble them because the index is going to be random for each iteration. I followed the play anim montage node with a delay, and then I connected the return value to the duration, because the return value of play anim montage is a float value, and that float is, in seconds, the duration of whatever montage is playing. So from there, after the montage has completed itself, we set the movement mode back to walking. But then I took that final execution pin, and that went back to the reset of the do once, so that I can continue to play additional montages. Of course, that needed the character movement component as well. And I had it in the graph already, so I triple dipped. You've seen me do that before. Okay? So we'll compile and save. And when we play, you'll see that behavior. I'm going to spam the mouse button really quickly, but it won't matter. She'll complete each animation montage before playing the next one. So I'm just really rapidly clicking on the mouse. Notice that she finishes each one no matter how fast I spam the mouse. You might even hear it clicking in the background. Okay? All right. So now let's get on to the spawning of the zombie. What we're going to need for that is a trigger box. So we're going to go trigger. We'll put a trigger box, let's say, wherever we want our character to walk into an area that's going to cause them to spawn. And that can be anywhere, like when she enters the graveyard, for example, in the environment we made in class. I don't know if you remember, we made a trigger box just like this. And I want to scale it up so that it's going to be big enough for sure that she's going to have to walk through it. Okay, it doesn't need to be very thick. But let's just get it up. Oops, I just hit the delete key. I meant to hit the end button so I could snap it to the floor. Okay, and that's right in front of our player start. In fact, let me just back this up a little bit so we start a little farther away from it. Okay, so we can select this trigger box, trying to get it by clicking on its wireframe, and make an event for this in the level blueprint. Okay, so while you have that selected, keep it selected, and then move your mouse over this button right here, open it, and you are going to see this option here that says Open Level Blueprint. That's what we want. Every level has a blueprint. Now, it's easy to get references to things in the level blueprint because whatever you have selected in the world, okay, I can select that here or I can select that here. Whatever is selected in the world, I can easily create a reference to it in the level blueprint. Okay, so if I right-click, I can just create a reference to it, or I can even make an event for it. Okay, so add event for trigger box. I want to do that, and I want it to be collision add on actor begin overlap. Okay, so we are going to then from here cast to BP underscore third person character, which is our Rose. That's other actor. And from there, let's just make sure that it's working, and we'll do a print string. So this is just going to be a test to verify that it's detecting that overlap. So we'll go into play, and we'll see if it says hello when I walk forward and through it. There it is. Okay, so it says hello. It is detecting us, and that's good. The next thing is we've got to decide where we want the zombie or a group of zombies to spawn. So what we'll do is we'll put down a target point. And let's just place one wherever. And again, through the Place Actors panel, we'll type target point. Maybe we'll put that right there. And again, I want to put that right on the ground, like that. Okay. Now, I've got the target point selected, so I'm going to go back to the level blueprint, and let's just create a reference to that. So we'll right-click, and we'll create a reference to the target point, okay? Just like that. Get rid of this print string because we don't need it anymore. Okay, so now what we're going to do is pull off of here and type spawn actor from class. Spawn actor from class. And our class is going to be our zombie. Okay, BP underscore zombie. And it wants to know the spawn transform. So we want it to spawn here at our target point. So we're going to pull off of our target point and type get actor transform. Use that. Plug that in. Okay? And I think that should do it. But I've got this set up in such a way that I think it's going to have the same problem that it had in class. And that's the whole reason that I'm making this video, is so you can know how to fix it. Okay? So we're going to go back into play, and we're going to spawn our zombie over there. So let's go into play. And when I walk through here, it should spawn our zombie. But notice that it's not walking around. It's just standing there in its idle animation. It's not detecting us because it has not been possessed by the AI controller. Okay? There's a very, very simple reason for that. So I still have this zombie blueprint docked. So let's get back into that. Click on the self root component there. And what we want to do is we want to look for possession here in this list. So let's just type in the search POS. And here where it says pawn, auto possess AI, it's defaulted to either placed in world or disabled. But what it needs to be is placed in world or spawned. It does not default to that. And since we're spawning it, it has to be either set to spawned or placed in world or spawned. But it defaulted to either placed in world or disabled. We don't want either one of those if we're spawning it. So I like this option. That gives us the most flexibility. And we're going to compile and save that. Okay, so now the AI controller will possess that zombie, and it's going to do its thing. So right now, oops, froze there, and it's coming after us. Oh, I overlapped it again. All right, so what I wanted to do now in the level blueprint is control that a little bit more. So I didn't want this to continue to spawn zombies as I overlapped it. So what I'll do instead is we'll go back to the level blueprint, and we're going to do a do once here without a reset. Okay. Oops, didn't mean that. Compile and save. And now, when we go back to play, it shouldn't continuously spam us zombies, right? If I pass through it more than once, okay? Okay. We haven't set up the collisions for that yet, okay? But we're going to. And we're also going to make it so that we can kill our zombies as well. So let's work on that next. We're going to go to our zombie blueprint, and let's use the capsule component. And with that selected, let's clear our search, and we're going to go down to the collision events associated with that, or you can also just right-click it and add the event from here. So my meeting controls are sitting on top of that, excuse me. So I'll do it from there. Right-click, add event, add on component begin overlap. So it's right there. From here, we're going to cast to BP underscore third person character, which is Rose. And that's going to be our other actor. Be careful that you don't use any of these other pins. It's other actor is the one that you want to use. And let's see if that is just detecting the hits. So we'll do a print string. And we'll change the string to hit. Okay, let's see if it's detecting these hits. Compile and save. Do this a test first. All right. Okay, if you look in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you should see every time there's an overlap, it hits the zombie. Okay, and we can make it so that this zombie has hit reactions. I haven't retargeted them yet, but it is detecting the hits. So for now, let's just set it up so that the zombie has some health, and we can, with each hit, we can diminish the health until the zombie is dead and then kill it. Okay? So we're going to go back to the zombie blueprint, and we're going to create a variable. Okay? A new variable. And it's going to be called, I guess, health. It's not going to be a Boolean, okay? We're going to set that instead to a float. And before we can set a default value for it, we have to compile first, okay? So we're going to set it, you can set this to 1 or 100, okay? It depends on something else that we might do later. So for now, just for simplicity, I'm going to set it to 100. Okay, so like 100% health, in other words. And we don't need this print string anymore. Okay, so let's just make sure that we've got this variable here, health. Okay, and we're going to compile and save. So now for each overlap, what I want it to do is to deduct a certain amount of health from the current health. So let's start by setting the health first here, okay? And then we are, because remember, it's defaulting to 100. If I get the health, and this is a float value, I can subtract from that. So pull off and type subtract until you see it. And I'm going to connect that pin to that pin, okay? This return value to the health. And here, the B value, what we're subtracting, we can specify how many health points we're taking away. So let's say with each overlap, we're going to take away 10 points of health, okay? Now I could do a print string there if we wanted to, and then take the return value of this setter and place that into the string. It'll do an auto conversion for you because these are not the same format. That was a float, and this is expecting a string, so that does the conversion automatically. So now if I go back into the game, I'll be able to see the health of the zombie in the upper left corner of the screen as it's being hit. Whap. Okay, so going back into the zombie blueprint, I think what I want to do is I might want to do a do once with a reset for that. Well, we'll see. I don't need the print string anymore or this conversion. So I'm setting the health, and then what I want is a branch node. So my favorite shortcut is just to hold down the letter B and then left click, because I know I'm going to need that. And the condition is going to depend on when this health parameter, this health variable, is 0 or less. Okay, so we're going to get the health, okay, and pull off. We want a node called less equal. Okay, and the less equal node is basically like equal to or less than or equal to. Okay, you can see, in fact, less than or equal to is printed right in the middle of the node. And I'm going to leave B at 0. So if the health reaches 0 or less, technically it can go into negative numbers. So if it gets to 0 or less, then I can proceed with what comes next. Okay, and what I want to do next is as follows. I want to get the mesh, and let's see, I want to set the mesh. Let me just do this in the mesh component. Let me see here. I want to set this to ragdoll. let's see, right there. Okay, just for the mesh. Okay, not the collision, not the capsule, not the self, but for the mesh. I want to set the collision profile to ragdoll. And that way, when it's set up that way, I can pull this off of this branch, and I can type. Actually, what I'll do, excuse me, is I'm going to need this mesh in there. So I'll pull off of here, and we'll say set all bodies simulate physics. This is the node right here. Set all bodies simulate physics. Like that. And click on new simulate because it was not simulating physics previously. Okay? And then what's going to happen is that when the zombie dies, it's going to ragdoll. Okay? So let's go ahead and watch that happen. Got a bad angle on it, but you see that's going to happen. Ooh, that's sickening. Let's try that again. Get a better angle on our combat too. Okay. Yeah, we were no longer printing his health to the screen. We can also, we could have played like a death animation montage there, but I like ragdolling them for some reason. Another thing that we could do, I suppose, it's always good to actually do a little cleanup when this is done. So I could follow this with a delay. And I want to let that zombie sort of linger there for a little while, so maybe 2 seconds. And then on completed here, we've got to be careful. We're going to do a sequence. Because then 1 is going to have another delay. But it's going to be very short. Okay? I'm going to leave it at maybe 0.1. Or maybe I could have just left it at 0.2. That might be too long. We'll see. Because from here, we're going to destroy the actor. So we'll type destroy actor. And this will actually remove it from memory altogether and make it disappear from the world. Okay? So it already knows it's itself, but if you wanted to, you could say self, get a reference to self. Now, I don't think it needs that, but you could do that just to be sure. And the reason that I'm doing it off of then 1 with another delay is because I can't do anything else to this actor after it's been destroyed. And what I want to do is I want to play a sound effect and a visual effect here first. So we'll do pull off, and we'll do play sound at location. And the sound is going to be from starter content for now. Let's get the explosion 01. The location is going to be get actor location. Let's make some room for that. Get actor location. This one. Not the target point, excuse me. No, from the zombie. Oops, my screen went dark. Give it a second to come back. It's just a problem with my monitor. I have to wait 1 second. Okay, it's back. I can now proceed. So here is the actor. Okay, what I should have done is promoted this to a variable when I had the opportunity. So let's just zoom out a little bit, pull this back. And we're going to take the return value from the spawn zombie, and we're going to promote it to a variable and let it set right there. And the new variable is going to be called zombie reference. And you can have spaces in variables, so that's fine. Okay, so that's set. And now when I need that get actor location and it wants the target, what I want is my zombie reference right around here. Get the zombie reference. and that's going to be the target. Okay? Once I have that, then that will provide the location for our place sounded location. It's going to be spatialized. And we're also going to spawn a visual effect. So we're going to say spawn emitter at location. And again, we're going to use just the explosion from starter content. And we can use the same location for that. Okay? Yeah, so that should do the trick. So this time when I kill the zombie, it'll ragdoll, and then 2 seconds later, it's going to explode. I don't know why that just happened. That was probably just a glitch. Unless there's something wrong with my code. Yeah, didn't happen. So let's see what's going on there. I might need to delay that a little bit more. Hold on. So there's a delay of 2 seconds after it dies. Then a sequence. Let me see. Yeah, here's the problem. This delay belongs here. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to delay. I think I put it here because I didn't anticipate that I was going to show you this, but now that I am, makes sense to have the delay here. So it's going to wait 2 seconds, and then it's going to, let's see, it's got to wait for more than 2 seconds here, therefore. So this is going to wait for 2.2 seconds. Okay. Compile and save. And again, I want this delay to be a little bit longer than this one so that the actor isn't destroyed before this code completes itself. I might have to increase that by a small amount if it doesn't work, but we'll see. Because the rest of that code, the rest of this code does take a few ticks to complete itself depending on your frame rate. So we'll see if it works. So let's spawn the zombie. That I don't understand why that's happening. Okay. Zombie. Huh. That's puzzling. Set all bodies, simulate physics. Oh, I know why. I'm doing this in the level blueprint. I didn't need to do any of this here. Beg your pardon. Wrong blueprint. So I'm going to cut this. I highlighted all this code. Control X. Go back into the zombie. And I'm going to paste it into here. Okay, so let's just move all this over and connect it like that. And I don't need the zombie reference because we're in the zombie blueprint, so I might have to remake that get actor location. So we'll do it again. Get actor location. And that'll go here, and that'll go there. And I'm going to remove that. Do it again. Just to make sure that it's got the right references, because I had that in the level blueprint and it really belonged in the zombie blueprint. Okay, because that's where I was killing it. So compile and save. Let's do a save all in case I forgot anything. Okay. Here's our zombie. Okay, 1, 2, there we go. All right, so I think that the 2.2 was probably a little bit overkill. So let's go back into there on that other delay. So let's go 2.05. Because I still saw the zombie body a little bit after the explosion. So that even might be too much, but we'll see. Play. Sorry, I had physics enabled, and it sent him flying. I should probably disable the physics on the box colliders, but so that he like just falls down where he dies. Okay, there we go. So that looks okay. It doesn't have to be that effect specifically, but since that was in starter content, I just thought I'd show you that technique in case you want to use it with your own sound effects or your own visual effects when the zombie dies. I guess one last thing I can show you is that we don't only have to spawn one zombie. Okay, so if I go back to our level blueprint, if you want to spawn more than one zombie, what we can do is, after this do once, but before our spawn actor BP zombie, we can do a for loop. This one under flow control, for loop, and specify our first index as 0 and our last index according to how many zombies we want to spawn. So let's spawn 3 zombies. Excuse me, therefore I would type a 2. Okay, so 0 to 2 is a total of 3. So this time, just by putting this for loop and setting the last index to 2, we're going to get 3 zombies spawning. And then I'll show you a problem that's associated with that too, because they're kind of going to like act together. They're going to bunch up. See how they're like perfectly in sync with each other. Let's get all 3 of them because this one didn't see me. Okay, see how they're all bunched up? I don't like how close they are to each other. And we can control that as well. Okay, so if I wanted to, I can go into the zombie blueprint again and go to the self. And let's do type avoidance. Okay, type the word avoidance, select self, type the word avoidance in the search, and use RVO avoidance. Check that on. Okay, and avoidance consideration radius. This is not large enough, so let's set that to something much larger, like 2,000. And the avoidance weight to maybe 0.5. Yeah. Compile and save. And they should keep their distance from each other now. So let's go back into play and test that out. Maybe that avoidance weight shouldn't have been 0.5. Hold on a second. Set that back to its default. 2,000. Yeah, that should work. Let me see. Avoidance weight. Let's see. Default value is 0.5. I knew that, which is why I set it to 0.5, but I don't think I have to. I think that it defaults that way. I think I might have actually screwed it up by trying to set it there. So we'll see if this works any better. Okay. Yeah, it takes a while. I guess if they see you at different times and they're starting in different locations, that is going to help. Okay, so we'll let them wander around a bit first, And that way, that's when the avoidance kicks in. I don't like how our camera clips. I'll have to fix that too. But you see that they're not like in sync anymore. Still don't know why they're... Okay, they're trying to avoid each other. Yeah, that's definitely an improvement to how it was. Okay, and of course, we don't have collisions on their hands yet, so they can't hurt us, but we could set up a health system for her as well. Let me go kill this last one. All right. So there's a way to control that as well. You can make the sound and visual effect components inside of the blueprint, an audio component and an emitter. And you could just do spawn sound attached and spawn emitter attached, and then it will remain, and you can parent those components to the mesh so that they stick on it. I'll show you that, I guess, when we go into class, because I've already used over a half hour of your time, and really all I meant to do was teach you how to make a zombie spawner correctly. Okay, so don't forget that the main thing was under possession, POS. The only thing we did differently, the reason that this didn't work in class, is because of the auto-possess AI was not set to placed in world or spawned. Okay? If it's set to placed in world, this is not going to work. So I'll demonstrate that one last time. It'll spawn the zombie, but it won't do anything. Nothing's happening, right? So go back, placed in world or spawned. Compile and save. Another thing that we can do if we don't want them to like all start in the same location is we could use multiple target points. And the target points can be in different locations. And we could make that into an array variable. And then the for loop would proceed through the target points before it spawns each zombie at the transforms of those target points. So they don't always have to spawn like, you know, in the same spot. And we can do that in class as well. All right, die zombies. Yeah, my camera clipping is not helping. All right, that's enough fun for one day. So I guess that's it. I will see you in class. Bye-bye.